behavior control. This video will focus on what mechanisms are being employed against society in order to control them mentally by controlling their behavior. I will share also studies and opinions of experts on concepts regarding human behavior, how it can be understood and manipulated, and thus these are the mechanisms used against us, and therefore we have this happening in society today. So sit by, watch from wherever you are, and this is not for you to agree or to disagree. This is merely for us to share information. Take what resonates with you, and if it doesn't, please ignore. Without any further ado, let's get into it. So welcome guys, my name is Marshall. This is Wake Us Up in the Hood, and today, as you saw in the intro, a video of Dr. Robert Malone doing a lecture to his peers and students about psychological warfare, a phenomena that is only now being observed and beginning to be understood by us. Let me not say us, let me rather say by those with the intellectual capacity to be able to discern fiction from fact, and thus being able to detect and be aware when such intent mechanisms being used to manipulate and control and steer our behavior and actions in society. Thus we tend to engage in actions that is contradictory to our own progression, and thus have a negative effect on our experience. So based on the individual that you just saw now, Dr. Malone, as you'll see in on his Wikipedia page, for some reason there is no photo, right? For even local politicians and local figures here in South Africa, from where I'm from, and their Wikipedia page is there. Many of them have photos. Now here is an individual, I would say he's a very prominent figure in the medical society for his contribution to the discovery and thus invention of vaccines, right, in the study of mRNA, right? So I'm not gonna go and read, you can go and read his Wikipedia page, but what is interesting and what makes him important is what happened to him during the COVID-19 pandemic. And I'm not sure will we still get banned today, after we have now discovered so many non-truths about COVID-19, and he is one of the individuals who is responsible for the discovery of vaccines, at least the technology you know, how any vaccine is developed, right? He is the founding father, and yet his experience is that he was suppressed and censored for his views, and his views were very controversial to the mainstream narrative, right? And here in this video, he's explaining what psychological warfare we in society is currently undergoing, and thus how it's being exercised and how it was used against him. So he's just highlighting that, right? And he is making claims that it is the people who are the most highly educated, even though those people with the multiple degrees, doctorates, and so forth, they are the easiest to manipulate. The more educated you are, the easier it is to manipulate you, right? Because you've gone through more training than the average person, and thus it's easier to manipulate you, right? That's just a doctor's view. That is this doctor's view, right? And as I said, you can read through here, and the controversy regarding COVID-19 that happened, you can read about that there, right? So I'm not gonna go into that, but ultimately that is the case there, right? And there's a New York Times article. So I'm not able to show you the article now because I don't have a New York Times subscription, right? But I was able to do a screenshot quickly, and in the screenshot you can see that the article says there the latest COVID misinformation star says he invented the vaccines, right? Dr. Malone says he helped invent mRNA vaccines and has been wrong for decades. Now he's spreading unfounded claims about the vaccines and the virus, right? And look at the framing of that article, right? The guy who's responsible for the invention of mRNA, look how they frame that sentence, and look how they frame that heading of that article. So essentially this is what he went through, right? So if you are going to be willing to make a subscription to New York Times to read that article, please come back, share with us what your findings are in that article, but we are not gonna subscribe. So what makes it possible for these educated people to be so easy manipulated, right? And it's got something to do with this fella, this guy right here, this guy, John D. Rockefeller. So if you read there what Mr. Rockefeller's statement is, the guy who is the brainchild, or how do I put it now, the brainchild of the education system, here is the father who birthed it, right? And look at his ideology or his philosophy. as it relates to education, right? Teach them everything about nothing. I don't want a nation of thinkers. I want a nation of workers. He who works all day has no time to make money, right? So it really now gives insight to what the experience is of our general person outside, in relation to what they currently experience. Even those who have matric, who have degrees, right? They for some reason is still unemployable. But more to that, this speaks directly to what the Dr. Malone's argument, not argument, his statement that he's making, right? His revelation to say that the educated people are the easiest to manipulate. It's because the education system is designed to control our behavior, the outcome, how we behave, and to what limitations we allow ourselves to live. Because the educated person generally cannot think outside of his frame of education. For example, if he's a doctor, he will never grasp concepts of accountant, or if he's an accountant, he will never grasp the concepts of engineering, or if he's an engineer, he will never grasp marine biology, right? These people cannot think outside the frame of the education, and because stuff that is not inside the frame of their education, to them it doesn't exist. To them, they don't recognize it. To them, it's the devil, right? Because it's not inside the frame of their education, and that is what makes it so easy for them to be manipulated, right? And then in this video here, they explain to you what is the phenomena that explains why some of us appear to be more intelligent than others, or let me not say intelligent, let me rather say informed or educated, because there's a difference between being educated and being intelligent. Because you can have a degree, you can be the most qualified person, you will still be very unintelligent if you don't have wisdom. That's the plainest way I can put it. So basically, they will discuss a concept known as the Umwelt. Umwelt simply just explains the level of your understanding, the level of your comprehension of reality, everything that you can absorb with your senses, with the limitation your senses have. Alright, because if you don't have a sense to detect that thing does not exist to you. Alright, so that's why people tend to misunderstand each other when they communicate, because the one has a broader exposure of reality than the other person. So when he speaks concepts, it's similar to the concept of people what the educated that things within the framework of their education, right? it's more or less the same concept, but it's different in the sense that it's got to do with your senses, your sense of perception, in terms of what you can see with your eyes, what you can hear with your ears, what you can smell with your nose, what you can taste with your tongue, and what you can feel with your skin, right? Or the touch receptors, or wherever it's located on your body, all right? So with the level of knowledge you have, the greater your umveld becomes, your radius of understanding of what is in this reality, all right? So not only do we differ on the radius in terms of how big our radius in our umveld is, we also differ in terms of our frame of education. That's why we tend to not speak from the same reference point. Hence, I'm making the point that we have disagreements and misunderstanding because we don't speak, although we use the same words. Remember, I also said that if I use a particular term, it means something specific to me. So when you hear it, you hear what that word means to you. You don't hear what I intend to communicate. Alright? So there is where that problem comes in. When I speak from a different umveld framework of education than what you understand. You understand only within your framework, and if what I'm saying is not within your framework, then you must understand me. But let them explain to you from a better scientific perspective what the umveld is about.
Every animal has its own sensory world, its own thin slice of the fullness of reality that it can detect. Evolution has shaped the senses of animals according to their needs, but no animal can sense everything. No animal is perfect at everything. There is so much information out there that to be able to detect it all would be an overwhelming experience and also unnecessary. There's also a cost to the senses. Senses don't come for free. To build a sense organ and to maintain all the neurons that feed into that sense organ takes up a lot of energy, which is why their senses are so refined and so constrained by their evolutionary needs. So the word Umwelt was popularized and defined by a German zoologist named Jakob von Uexküll in the early 20th century. It comes from the German word for environment, but he meant the animal's sensory environment. And that's the specific set of sights, smells, textures, and sounds that that animal has access to, and that another animal might not. When you really think about the senses, you do start to understand the very different kinds of information that those senses offer their owners. So we obviously taste with our tongues, but a catfish is essentially a swimming tongue. It has taste buds all over its skin. If you put little pieces of food near the flank of a catfish, it will be able to taste it and turn around and snap it up. For most animals, taste is about food. It's about trying to work out whether something is worth eating or not. And for humans, food is something that we put in our mouths. But if you're a very small animal, food can be something you land on. And which is why for many insects, taste buds are things that are found in their feet as well as in their mouths. A fly landing on the apple that you're trying to eat can taste it just by walking on it before you put it in your mouth. I, like most of you, have two eyes. They sit in the front of my face and they point forwards, which means that my visual world is always in front of me and I walk into it. But most birds have eyes on the sides of their heads, which means their visual world is around them. They often have close to wraparound vision, seeing to the sides and also a little bit to the back. And that kind of wraparound vision is really hard to wrap your head around. And then, of course, there are changes that can occur over an animal's lifetime. So the umvelt of an adult might be different to the umvelt of a juvenile. Jumping spiders are very driven by vision. They have excellent eyes, but those eyes also become more sensitive as they get older, more sensitive to light, which means that I think the world of a jumping spider will get brighter as it ages. One scientist described this to me as a jumping spider watching the sun rise as it gets older. So a sea otter has very sensitive paws. They don't look very sensitive. They look like these weird sort of cauliflowery mittens. They have a sense of touch that is equal to our exquisitely sensitive fingertips. One of the key differences is that they are also extremely skilled at using that sense of touch. They're very fast about making touch-based decisions. A sea otter will dive down into the ocean and very quickly root around with its paws. It will grab that sea urchin, yoink that clam, and then rise to the surface before eating its food. A sea otter doesn't have the benefit of blubber that a whale or a walrus might have. It has very thick fur, but it can find enough food to eat because it has not only very sensitive hands, but very fast hands too. Even in a completely dark room, where the very large eyes of an owl might not be of much use, they can still hear, and they hear really well. The dish of feathers around an owl's face that gives it that distinctive owly look acts as a radar dish, funneling sound towards its ears. Those ears are incredibly sensitive, but they also have a unique trick that allows the owl to work out exactly where sound is coming from. Based on when sound arrives at my ears, whether it first arrives at the left or the right, I can tell where a sound is coming from in the horizontal plane. I can't do that trick in the vertical very well because my ears are level with each other, so sound arrives at both of them from above or below at the same time. An owl solves this problem because its ears are offset, so they're asymmetrical. So one ear is slightly higher than the other. And when sound arrives at that ear first, the owl knows where in the vertical plane its target is. And that's why an owl in the dark can land exactly on a mouse. It's why owls in the wild can bust through snow to pick up scurrying rodents that they couldn't even see. One of the primary uses of scent in the animal kingdom is for navigation, for finding your way around a landscape. You know, my dog Typo absolutely can do this. He knows where we are by cross-referencing his memories of the smells of the neighborhood against what he's smelling at any given moment. But there are other animals that use scent for navigation in even more extraordinary ways. A lot of seabirds, the group known as tube noses, use the odourscapes of the ocean to find food. The ocean looks featureless to us, right? We can glide over it and just see this endless expanse of uniform blue. But it's not featureless to an albatross. Underwater features like mountains and valleys leads to concentrations of nutrients, which then concentrate food, plankton, and then krill, the kinds of things that a seabird might eat. And so the ocean has this undulating odorscape, odors that reveal the concentration of possible food, and then areas of no scent that reveal scarcity in the deep. Elephants can do this too. You know, elephants can navigate over long distances. Obviously, they have that trunk. They are constantly scanning about with this extremely elongated nose. You know, they'll react to the imminent arrival of rain. People have suggested that they can buried sources of water by smelling it. It's quite difficult to understand exactly how elephants smell because they are large, intelligent animals that are difficult to work with. Part of this relies on us using our imaginations, like watching their incredible behavior, looking at their trunk, and trying to just make educated guesses about what their olfactory world might be like. There's a wonderful quote by Marcel Proust that I think captures what's magical about the Umwelt concept. He said that the only true voyage would be not to visit strange lands, but to possess other eyes, to see the hundreds of universes that each of them sees. That's how I think about the sensory worlds of other animals. I think that when I get to empathize with the smell world of a dog or the touch world of a sea otter, I feel like I'm traveling, like I'm leaving the confines of my own body and my own lived experience and going on this fantastical voyage into the world of another creature.
Okay, so I was hoping they were going to illustrate and give you an idea how, in terms of size, different animals Umwelt is, so that you can understand how Umwelt as humans differ from one another. But I'm just gonna illustrate it to you quickly. And thank you if you made it thus far in the video. Your patience will pay off. So if I am to illustrate the concept of Umwelt like this as a demonstration, as you can see, let's say for argument's sake, the green represents reality, everything that exists in this universe, right? And this is not a demonstration according to scale, right? It's just for illustration purposes, so you can grasp the concept. So the green represents everything that exists within reality, right? That senses can pick up. And I'm not saying your senses, I'm saying senses, all senses that can perceive anything. So if we were to demonstrate the difference between an ant, a dog, and a human, an ant, out of everything in the universe, that is about it, what they will ever experience, that small red circle where they are now, right? The circle here, right? The ant. So in relation to the dog, you will see the dog's red circle, or it's an oval for the technical people. His shape is a bit bigger, so he has a bigger grasp of what reality is, right? So he understands the universe better than the ant does because his senses is able to pick up more of reality, right? Now, the difference between a dog and a human has more senses, although the dog's smelling is better than a human's smelling. The human has the advantage of his eyesight, which is better than the dog's eyesight. Touch. Uh, I don't want to say better taste because I believe dogs have better taste as well. But more, nevertheless, our senses and the capacity of our brain allows us to experience a greater deal of reality as opposed to a dog or uh, or a ant, right? We perceive a, a bigger portion of reality than an end, you know. But what is also very unthought of or unconventional is that we don't understand this, that even us as humans, although all of us are humans, both the same with the same senses, whatever, I am still of the view, and I didn't see anyone identifying this, or I didn't read it up anywhere. It's just based on my experience. So therefore, you do not have to accept my opinion in this respect. It's just for me to um, invoke critical thinking within you, right? And also to give you a better understanding of what you are currently experiencing, right? So, in my view, I believe, although we are all humans, we also have a different umwelt, a different level of perception of what reality is. Person A, which is where the end was now here uh, it's to my right, but it appears to your left on the screen, right? So this person here has a smaller umwelt than this person here, and both of them have a smaller umwelt as opposed to the person over there, all right? So when we speak, when these three people communicate, do you think uh, if person A speaks, the other two will understand him? Yes. If person A speaks, person A here, if person A speaks, person B and person C can understand him, because the two of them have a bigger uh, grasp on reality. So chances are, whatever his experience is, they will have experienced it as well. But now when person B in the middle here, when he speaks, chances are person C will understand him because he has a greater grasp of reality, and he might have experienced whatever concept person B might be trying to articulate. However, person A, chances are he's not gonna understand what this person is saying because he has never experienced in his own world what this guy is probably trying to articulate in relation to his experience. So he definitely 50% greater chance for him to misunderstand this guy, right? So miscommunication is greater between the two of them as opposed to between the two of them. The two of them might still understand each other. However, when person C speaks, the two of them is not going to understand him. Most definitely is not going to understand him. He has a better chance of understanding, but possibly still might not understand what he is trying to communicate, right? Because uh, the two of their perception, their grasp on reality is much smaller than his. So they have experienced less than what he has. So when he says something and he speaks from his perspective, they have a different experience. So they might not understand what he is trying to communicate. And this is where the gap, one of the gaps in our communication lies. Hence, I'm of the opinion our language isn't sufficient to mitigate these type of uh, 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 shortcomings in our communication, right? And thus also, the two of them might not even understand the concept of a umwelt. right? Similarly to some of the people who commented on my previous video, they are more focused on my presentation, how I speak, how I come across, the lack of energy, as opposed to listening to the message, right? So for them, I would say they fall here, either here or there in terms of their grasp of reality. The people who came to my defense, who said, don't listen to how he speaks, rather listen to the message he's trying to bring across. That person has a bigger umveld because they have a greater capacity for intellect. They are able to use their critical thinking, right? And it is those people, not, I'm not insulting anyone, I'm just highlighting stuff, because what is the purpose of our channel? It is to wake us up, right? So we are here to wake you up and make you understand yourself better. So once you understand yourself better, you will understand the next person better. And that speaks to that verse in the Bible where Jesus says, uh, you must love your neighbor as you love yourself. It's because you don't understand yourself. That's why you're not able to love yourself. That's why you're not able to understand the next person. That's why you're not able to love the next person like yourself, right? So the goal is for you to change starts with you if you want to change the world. And that is also what I'm trying to practice through this, right? And trying to teach you these concepts, help solidify it more for me so that it can become a part of me, so I can have better habits than the habits I have now, because we all have poor habits uh, as a result of our schooling system and what the church is focused on. So I know this video has been very long, but thank you for your patience. And if you've taken the time to get to this point and to go beyond until I end, because the next topic I'm gonna touch on is equally as important, right? So if you made it till here, I would say you fall here by this umveld. You have a greater understanding of reality, and you know that you don't know everything, and that there's always more to know. So you're always eager to learn more, right? Uh, you fall here by this umveld. So now that we understand the concept of umveld, right? Uh, our environment, our reality, uh, um, we must communicate with each other because we have a different perception of reality as a result of the different umveld we experience. Um, we have different levels of experience, different level of knowledge, right? So if you look at the next concept,
is the reactions of human beings in a given environment. I can't study human behavior.
our environment shapes our behavior, we can now clearly understand why there is such a difference between the people of Constantia as opposed to the people of the Cape